July 1st marks 3 years since the largest tornado outbreak in the history of Maine. It was a Saturday on a hot, humid afternoon when 5 tornadoes hit western Maine. Now, the first tornado hit just before 2:30 on the west side of Sebago Lake. Then 4 other touchdowns occurred over the next 4 hours, affecting the towns of Denmark, Bridgeton, and Otisfield. Meteorologist Ryan Breton was on the air covering those storms, and he's taking a look back at that day now. He joins us. And Ryan, why was that day such a violent one in western Maine?
Well, Lee, there are some years when we don't have tornadoes at all, but on that one afternoon, just in the span of about 4 hours, we had 5 touchdowns. And the most unique thing about that day is it wasn't one thunderstorm that caused the tornadoes. Instead, it was actually 4 thunderstorms, and one of those thunderstorms spawned 2 touchdowns. Really incredible stuff. And the reason why it was focused over such a small part of the state is there was a warm front sitting there. And a lot of times people think of cold fronts cause tornadoes. Actually, warm fronts can cause them more frequently around here, and that's because they focus the wind, and the wind was spinning in the lower part of the atmosphere that day, just away from the coast in the western mountains and in the lakes region. And as you see there, the first tornado happened around Sebago Lake and then actually went over the lake. You see it there as a water spout, and then 4 additional tornadoes occurred in pretty populated areas. One touchdown right around Shawnee Peak, another one there in Bridgeton on the causeway by 302. So Lee, it really was a remarkable afternoon that not only were there so many tornadoes in a small area, but they happened over several hours.
Yeah, you use the word remarkable. It's also pretty remarkable that there was only 1 injury and nobody got killed, because tornadoes can be pretty violent.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned, this is a Saturday in July, the weekend before the 4th of July. A lot of people outside. That's how people got the video of the tornadoes. They were outside, but only 1 injury and no fatalities, which is really a testament to the warnings that went out that day. The National Weather Service issued multiple tornado warnings. I think it was a total of 7 that afternoon, and we were on the air all afternoon. I was here at first, and then Todd Guttner came in. Keith even came in. He went out in Stormy that afternoon. And one really unique thing about that day is we were able to report on the air that tornadoes were on the ground. That's really something that doesn't happen very often at all in the Northeast, because usually tornadoes hit quickly and then they're back up. But since so many people are outside, Lee, people saw, like this one around Shawnee Peak in Bridgeton, it was actually spotted by people who were outside.
And then you went back to see the affected areas a year afterward. So what had changed? What was that like?
Well, there was a home just off Highland Lake in Bridgeton that was really hit hard by the tornado that formed right over the lake, went over the house, snapped trees. Trees fell down on the roof on the car there as well. And actually, one of the more interesting things was talking to this family that lived there in Bridgeton. Since it was a holiday weekend, a lot of the hotels around there were booked. So when the tornado hit, they had no place to go. And even a year later, they were still working on repairing their home. They had some issues with their insurance company and things like that. And it's just not something that we deal with that often here in Maine. Trees crashing through the roof and hail coming through too. Really crazy stuff that you just would not expect. And as we said, the most remarkable thing, Lee, is that no one was killed and just 1 person was injured by a falling tree, I believe.
Yeah. All right, so last question. You know, there have been like 100-year storms, but they seem to happen every 10 years now or something like that. So should we be preparing for something like this to happen again or more often than in past?
Well, it's tough to say with tornadoes, Lee. We averaged 2 per year. In 2017, I believe the total was 7. But then 2018, we had none. So it's really a hit and miss thing with tornadoes. Everything has to come together perfectly for them to form. What I will say is we are detecting them a lot more easily than we could in years past. Doppler radar is a lot better. People now have phones and can take pictures and video of them instantly. So we certainly are more aware of tornadoes. That's well known and well documented. It also means the warnings for them are a lot better. So hopefully we get the message out if and when they do happen.
Hopefully indeed. Really interesting, Ryan. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and be right back.